Hey guys, welcome back to Chaos Zero Nightmare. In today's video, we are going to be checking out a tier list for the game. Pridewinds put up their first tier list, and tier list time is always fun because people get to argue about things. But I just like it to be able to chat about a bunch of characters and have a bit of a discussion. Now, with this game, before we get into it, massive disclaimer, this is heavily subject to change. We are still at level 50 with everything that's testing. There's stuff unlocking every day, and people finding new combos. That is the fantastic thing about this game, and I wouldn't look at a tier list and let it determine what character you play, because I've said it before, this game is so fantastic that it feels like no one's ever going to have the same build as someone else, because divine epiphanies, all that sort of stuff. And I feel like if you get a good enough build on any character, they can feel like the most broken character in the game. And that is a fantastic game design in my opinion, and I think that's why people are so addicted to this game at the moment. We go. Hope it keeps on, but at the moment, it's just like it's so fun because everyone's different and everyone can feel overpowered, depending on what you get and how you play them. So once again, I'm just saying this to be like, don't think this is like the be all end all, because yeah, I think we'll definitely keep finding stuff. For instance, they've even got an icon here on Nia and Luke, because after you play an absolute ton of the Blue Pot world, which is the first world, you unlock access to an item in your runs, which increases your damage by, I believe it's 10% when you discard a card. And at the moment, it doesn't have a cap. So there's plenty of discarding going on there. So you can absolutely scale to the moon. So there's different stuff like that people will keep finding and keep cheesing. I remember seeing on like one of the opening days, what was it, like a 22 hit combo Mei Lin, which is absolutely crazy and fun as hell. So just to say, you know, there's a ton of stuff, but let's go through the tier list, talk about the characters, and give our general thoughts. And once again, you guys leave your thoughts in the comments. But at the end of the day, I think the game's just really well designed and balanced, to where it feels good. Like even we had Sue on the podcast the other day who was loving Owen, building Owen for his supportive capabilities along with a bit of damage as well and stuff like that. The one that I'm not sure on is Orlea in the Dimensional Twilight, because she wants to play the long game, but in Dimensional Twilight, you want to do it as fast as possible. So maybe there is like a good use for Orlea in terms of getting bang on the 12 turns and making that work. But it kind of just feels counterintuitive to the way she functions. But once again, I haven't played Orlea, so not too sure over there. They do have the Dimensional Twilight and the Chaos Manifestation. Chaos Manifestation still incoming. So this is kind of like just the overall tier list at the moment. And eventually they will look to split it. But once again, don't get your feelings hurt of your character, because like I said, every character can feel busted in these games. So let's go through the it's not even debatable. The only character for DPS in tier 0. I'm just joking. I just love Hugo. And I promise I did not persuade the decision of Hugo in tier 0. I had no input into that. I didn't want to be the biased guy getting his favorite up there, but Hugo tier 0. So I think the thing with Hugo is he does big damage without like his base deck is just really nice, because he starts with his Outbreak of War to start stacking his passive stacks, which is pretty important for him to do. But then past that, he doesn't really need to do anything else. Your team just needs to play spell and upgrade cards, and he will get his stacks, and then he will do big damage without needing any specific card to deal that damage. Now, he can ramp his damage, but the thing on top of that is he also has draw power. His single dagger card, I forget what it's called, but when you use that, if you get that epiphany, and this is not a divine epiphany, just a standard epiphany, you can get it to draw 2 cards. So he also has draw power tied into his kit. His little doggo has one where you can use it as an upgrade to draw every one per turn, or you can use it as a just cast for a 1 cost that draws 2 cards. So he just has damage that's passive and pretty reliable to obtain. And obviously you guys have probably seen the videos where I stack his Outbreak of War so that he gets 2 stacks per spell card, meaning he's more capable of dealing damage. And it's just really damn efficient in general. So big damage, not much setup required. That's why Hugo's probably in there. I just love the dude. I think he's fantastic. Once again, that's not to say these other DPS are bad by any stretch of the imagination, but they've put him there, so Hugo dominance. Then we jump over into Tressa. Now, Tressa is honestly crazy for a free unit. Like, That's the crazy thing. We got Tressa and we got Mika in the tier 0. And they're both free units. And that is just fantastic to see. So Tressa, obviously insane synergy with Hugo. Very fantastic. She gets a bunch of 0-cost daggers that she can throw, proc Hugo, happy days, away you go. But honestly, there is insane combos. I've actually got a video record that'll come out with Tressa. People on stream would have seen it. But you can get her to just basically spam daggers, build up agony, and she actually has an execute ability where it deals more damage based on how many agonies they have, and it can actually deal insane amounts of damage with the right setup. So Tressa is another one who is a support DPS, but if you're lacking options, she can also function as a sole DPS in your team. So yeah, I think she's absolutely fantastic. Her ability to have that one where when she's healed, she gains daggers, and that's an upgrade, and then you can stack that. You can get multiple daggers and just keep turfing them out. Absolutely crazy. I really think she is just such a fun character for a free character and an amazing designed deck build. I think she's fantastic, and I don't think anyone would really argue that she's a really good support DPS / support DPS, particularly for Hugo, or main DPS in a clutch situation if you haven't had many good pulls. Then we go to Veronica. Now, I absolutely love my Veronica. The crazy thing about Veronica is she has, I'm trying to remember the numbers, but she's pretty much all upgrade cards, which are all around her generating her ballistas and in giving her stacks of reload to make the ballista damage higher. And then her 2 active cards that she uses once you get rid of her basics are both draw power. One can become a 0-cost draw 2 of other allies cards, so turboing your other allies. And then Kowalski that one was the repose, and then Kowalski is a 1-cost draw 2 increased damage of one of her ballistas. Now, Kowalski, if you get a Divine Epiphany to reduce the cost, and then you've got all these just free draw 2s, the draw power in this thing is absolutely crazy, not to mention her supportive damage. So she's got crazy draw power in her kit. And the great thing is with those upgrades, once you play them, they're gone. You don't have to worry about them clogging up your deck anymore. And the only thing she has left in your deck, obviously no one's deck saving right at the moment, but once we get there, the idea is you just have draw power. So you've got damage just from setting up and then just draw power. And her damage is actually really damn respectable as well, especially once you start playing more spell cards, because she's got the upgrade that when you play more spell cards, she gets the reloads. And then if you increase that cap, you get to 5 reload stacks. And she is absolutely shredding things at the end of turn when she just pops a ballista out. Now, there's all the different epiphanies you can get to increase the damage, change the type of ballistas, but in general, just my favorite draw support in the game. Then we have Mika. I don't think Mika needs much more of a summary. I think everyone knows it. I just wish I had a second Mika. She's just, yes, you can make teams work without Mika, obviously. But she's just so comfortable and easy. She provides healing. There's no one else that really has the healing throughput of Mika at the moment. She's just so reliable in healing. And the fact that she feels the healing role on top of having the AP generation. And she's the only real solid AP generator in the game at the moment for me personally. Let me go if I've missed someone, but she's just so fantastic at those 2 roles, which makes her so valuable. Then on top of that, when you got a healer that's also AP friendly, and then she can also get things like Gear Bag as a common card, which gives her draw capacity as well. Just makes it even crazier. So you can add what she's lacking into her kit very easily through the shop in a Chaos run. So Mika, absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to go too far because everyone plays her, everyone knows her. She is amazing. If you haven't built her, I highly recommend it. Then we come over to Khaleep. Now, I'm going to have a video talking about one of the what's seen as one of the best teams coming up, which is involving Khaleep. I've done a collab. It's already recorded with Bread, but that'll probably come out in 1 or 2 videos time. Khaleep is an absolute monster. She has, and this was the funny thing is when I did my my reroll plan before the launch, I was like, if I get a Khaleep, I'd probably just run with it, even though I really want Hugo, because Khaleep, I thought even though she was getting nerfed, which she did get nerfed from beta, she still has the fundamentals of dealing damage and shielding. And they're not just dealing damage, but it's AoE damage, which this game heavily lacks. The only other real big AoE damage dealer is Kayron, Besides that, there's really a lacking amount of AoE damage in the game. And she just does it so damn well. And the fact that she can fill that AoE damage role whilst also providing shields, which especially in harder stages of Chaos runs, is very important for mitigating some of that damage. So she's absolutely amazing. She still has the... what do they call it? The Heaven tag? I still call it Celestial tag. I think Celestial is way cooler than Heaven on the tags. It just sounded wicked, but it is what it is. So she can stack the damage and then just go and absolutely demolish anything with that. Pair her with some draw power, some AP efficiency, and she can be an absolute monster. But really, she can just carry a run because of how self-sufficient her kit is. Even something like early runs in Chaos, her basic attack, her 2-cost basic attack turns into an AoE attack with her potentials. So now you've just got AoE straight off the bat. Yes, it's a little bit expensive, but it also procs the Heaven cards or the Celestial cards. So absolutely amazing unit. My most wanted unit in the game at the moment. Hopefully I get her one day. If not, we've got to wait, see how long it takes us to get to 300 on the good old selector. Anyway, moving on from that, we have Haru. Now, Haru is one that I feel like the people either absolutely love Haru or just don't like the way she plays. Me personally, I don't like the way she plays, but I have seen some crazy combos with her and some massive damage potential out of her, especially those with the second dupe. It does make her a lot more efficient in being able to use that anchor shot at the end. So it just makes her anchor shot much more affordable, let's call it. But in general, Haru, the general playstyle is very selfish in that she wants to upgrade her anchor shot, use it, keep nuking. I like it that she does have different options with her anchor shot as well. But once again, big damage. She's a banner unit. I did pull her. I'm not leveling her, but those who are using her are absolutely in love with her. And I feel like she's one of those really divisive ones where it's like, it's a love or hate relationship, but she can do massive damage. Don't get me wrong on that. But normally in these games, you think like the first banner unit is like going to be like the top tier, like well above everyone else when they release. But it's honestly good to see that she doesn't, unless we haven't found the synergy yet, but she doesn't seem completely broken compared to all the other standard characters in the game. So we'll have to wait and see how the game evolves, but hopefully they can keep that sort of balance in the game with the way that everyone can feel pretty cracked. Then we have Kayron. I still have not played Kayron myself, so I don't have a bunch of input into him, but this guy is just really solid, and the people that have been playing him have just had glowing responses from him. Just feels really strong in both AoE and single target. He does have his own synergies and stuff like that, but once again, I don't want to speak too much on Kayron because if I don't know too much about something, I don't want to harp on it. So I know Sarah was playing Kayron. I saw was linking me some videos of him, but there's other people playing Kayron out there as well that you can go and check out. Then we move on to Mei Lin. Now I haven't played Mei Lin, but I've watched one of my buddies play Mei Lin a lot. We've seen the crazy combos on Reddit and stuff of 22 hit combos and stuff like that. Basically, Mei Lin she's kind of funny because she just takes full advantage of potentials. I always say this, but it's crazy that your, first upgraded potential increases basic attack damage. Then the first unlock one enhances your basic attack. And then the first one at the top for a lot of characters enhances the basic attack. It's on characters like Hugo, I'm like, bro, I fucking just take the basic attack out. Can we actually give me something useful here? It's good because I don't have to put in that investment. But for someone like Mei Lin who uses her basic attacks, it's absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of other combos with Mei Lin, but the generic one that most people aim for is the card that searches out her 2 basic attacks and makes them free. And it is a free card. So for free, you get 2 free attacks, which have then been buffed by the rest of her kit to deal big damage, and you basically just go boom, boom, boom for free, which is crazy. And then if you can make 4 copies of the search card in your deck, then you go free, bang, bang, free, bang, bang, free, bang, bang. And then you pair her with someone like Veronica, who has crazy draw power, who is also a Repassion unit, meaning that we can just keep comboing off with Mei Lin, get those stacks up, and then she can do her little finisher where she does more damage based on... I'm pretty sure it's based on how many passion cards were played in the turn. Once again, I I can't remember the exact wording on the card, but yeah, those are the crazy combos you see. Because she's so efficient, she can just keep spamming out these combo. Then at the end, she does the big combo, and it's just wicked. So Mei Lin, also Universal Break, absolutely fantastic. Honestly, I think she's probably close to being up there with Hugo because she's just so easy to play. Like, you just out of the box, you have your basic attacks, easy. Like we just cooking, like, because that's what she's based around. It doesn't feel like you've got to remove a ton of cards to make her viable. And then with save data, I'm not sure how it works with save data, but they always add your basics back in. And if you're leaving them there, well, they don't have to add them back in as much. So there's less cards that can sort of feel bricky on the save data with her because you actually want those basics. So it's like one of those interesting ones. Moving on from that, we have Rinoa. Now, Rinoa from before the release of the game was a character that I wanted to play with. I just pulled her recently. She was my last pull on the standard banner. So I obviously had all my characters built up. So I haven't got around to building her yet. And I think the cool thing about Rinoa is she's one of those ones where she is, I feel like she's got maybe one of the highest skill caps in the game, or learning caps, if you will. She has so many different combos depending on different epiphanies that you get that, like, at least in theory, I can see. And I've seen a lot of people doing some amazing things with Rinoa. I think she's a fantastic unit. And if you're looking for a unit to have some fun with and really just take the time to learn, then I think she is a fantastic one to build because she just has all those different potentials with those dirge bullets and the different ways to play it, whether you discard them, whether you banish them, whether you use them. Like, there's all these different interactions with it. You know, you can pitch them to deal damage, then get them back, then, you know, end of turn, ditch them again, then you can do the extra damage for ban. Like, she's just got so many different combos, and honestly, I don't even know what the best one is, but she's just a really interesting character with definitely a high sort of skill ceiling, in my opinion. So that is Rinoa. Then we have Rin. So Rin is my second main DPS on my account. I really like Rin. She's a bit clunky at the start of Chaos runs, especially because she wants to be the, ideally she's like just the only one I have in my team with attack cards. Maybe the rare exception of the one with, if I use her with Ray, so that Ray can get the 4 stacks of morale, so that, you can hit harder with the Rin, and then you just use a basic from Rin to get her into the stance, or the 0 cost one. There's all those different options, but in general, she feels clunky at the start of Chaos runs for sure, because you've got so many just dud attacks in your decks. So it can feel a little bit clunky, but honestly, the scaling of some of her abilities is quite nuts on the multipliers that you get, and she is really fun to play. Now, the main way I want to build her deck is that she has an epiphany on her draw card, which gets her 2 big hitting cards in hand. And it kind of becomes like a Mei Lin-esque combo where for free she searches those 2, but they both have a 1 cost. So my ideal end game, if you're grinding out to build a Rin deck, would be like having her search card with either the epiphany that adds 1 AP, that would be fantastic to make it more efficient, and then the 2 main attack cards with the Divine Epiphany to reduce cost. Or once again, if she has the +1, you only need 1 of them with reduced cost. So that would rely on 2 Divine Epiphanies to make a super efficient Mei Lin-esque combo with Rin. The only exception is she doesn't have Universal Break, but she would have much higher multipliers on those, and then you could have some real fun with that. So I see very, very high potential for Rin decks in the end game with Divine Epiphanies and stuff like that. But in general, she just feels she's a pretty good character, but you just got to get over the hurdle of paying attention to when she's in her stance, not breaking her out of her stance, and focusing on the right damage cards at the right time. For instance, like using the one that requires spell cards in hand when you have spell cards in hand, etc., etc. So that is that one. Moving on to Beryl. Now, Beryl, my man Gotcha Smack would argue that she is definitely in the tier 0. I know a lot of people at the moment that absolutely love Beryl. Her draw power is insane. Yes, it's exhaustible draw power for the draw 3 for free, I think it is. But dude, that is just absolutely cracked. We all love Gearbag in our decks, which is like the common card, and Beryl just has that baked in. Maybe it's the fact that so many other characters have access to Gearbag that maybe makes it look not as good. But dude, her draw power is insane. I've also seen some crazy supported damage out of her when you retain those cards. I think Beryl's really cool. I haven't played her myself. Obviously, we're limited on how many characters we can build. But Beryl definitely deserved of some love with one, her draw power, but two, her ability to deal some really solid damage. She's kind of like, she's very similar to Veronica in a way. They both have draw power and then they can do some, passive damage along the way. It's just hers is more active, but the thing is, it can stay in hand. So you're not like playing to play her cards. It's just like there's something that stacks up over time. Then we have Selena. Selena, another one that I haven't played. She plays around the mark. I heard from the guys that did the damage calc testing that her mark actually scales pretty decently. So decent damage in that one as well. But I'm not going to, once again, kind of like the Kayron situation, I'm not overly familiar with Selena, even though I pulled her. I just haven't built her yet. She's one that I will get around to. But in general, she's all about that breaks. Like, so she adds a ton of break on all her skills. I forget what they call it in this game, but the break bar, she does a bunch of that. So in situations where you really do want to break, like, she's going to be fantastic. And obviously we already have Mei Lin for that as well because she's universal break. But that is going to be Selena. Once again, apologies, I don't have too much on that. As we go into Cassius. Now, Cassius, unfortunately, him and Maribel, two characters I still have not pulled on my account. Cassius is an absolute monster. Probably one of the best search cards in the game, if not the best, unless you think about someone like, Rin and Mei Lin and other characters that search their specific card. But this card for universal draw, it did get nerfed from beta where it was 0 cost. Now it does cost 1, but you get to get any card you want, which is absolutely fantastic. But then I really love his questing system where you can do different combos. He's really good in decks that have a lot of cards to play, the zeros and ones. I would love to use him in a deck with Tressa. I think his draw power, along with Tressa and something like a Mika, could lead to insane Tressa main DPS combos. I tried Tressa with the Veronica. It just doesn't quite get there enough because Veronica shields instead of heals, whereas Cassius doesn't heal much, but he has those little tiny heals that go on top, which can then allow Tressa to keep making cards while you keep drawing and searching the cards you need and healing more with Mika. So I think Tressa, Mika, and Cassius could be sick. If I finally pull a Cassius, I will probably just build him to test that because it sounds like a lot of fun to me. But yeah, really unique playstyle on Cassius, and his questing system is really fun. And I think he's another one of those characters who rewards players who really learn him well. Then we have Nia. Now, Nia got massively changed from the beta, but still really damn strong. I know Sarah of the Abyss was doing, I think, level 10 on Chaos runs with Nia, Magna, and Tressa, which is, I just looked at that, I'm like, wow, massive respect for piecing that team together and getting so far with that team. Now, Nia's thing is basically discarding and shuffling and milling and interactions with the deck to the hand to the graveyard. Really, really interesting stuff. I have not built mine yet, but there is some crazy combos you can do. She can discard the entire deck into the graveyard, which is a really cool thing. I've seen people talk about it with Renoa, where you discard all the dirge bullets that are in the deck and then they all pop off. As we mentioned, there is that buff that's going to work with Luke as well. That piece of gear that could work with Luke. So that's coming through as a thing. But Nia, just a really cool playstyle. I really wish I kind of built her instead of Ray on my account, but I mean, Ray's still good, so we'll talk about that in a sec. But I think I'm just the guy that once I've played something, it's like, oh, I want to try the other thing, but I have no resources to try the other thing. Shit. But that is Nia. Nia, absolutely fantastic as well. As we move into Ray, now Ray is really, really nice, buffing those 1 cost cards or 0 cost in the right situation. She also has really solid morale buffing. She can also search for cards with her discarding ability and stuff like that. So she is basically like the damage amping, the main damage amping support at the moment. So I think she's a little bit clunky in some of her aspects. Like, she definitely doesn't feel as smooth as things like the Mika and the Veronica, but she is still a really solid damage amping support in general. I've been using her with my Rin as my Rin's buffer as well. So I do see I do get some good value out of her. It's just one of those ones where I don't know. I just don't know how to say. Like, she doesn't have the quite the sustain. Like, it's once again, it's back to the Mika thing. Mika has two roles that she feels incredibly well. And Ray, even though she has that good buffing potential, the rest of your team has to be very self-sufficient in terms of having draw and having, enough AP generation for themselves, because she is going to require some AP and she doesn't really have much draw power besides her little bit of search. And so that's where she just feels that little tier down from the Mika. But that is Ray, still fantastic. I still use her. Once again, with my Rin on my team personally. Then we move into the two shielders, which is going to be Magna and Maribel. Now, on my first account that I rolled for day one while I was still rerolling for Hugo, I was actually using these two as a combo, as a shielding damage combo. And it was actually pretty fun. It's not the most broken thing, and it takes a bit of time because you're relying on a bunch of revenge damage to come through and shielding through any damage that you can take. But both decently strong, obviously not at the level of Khaleep, because Khaleep's just pure upfront AoE damage, whereas these guys are more shielding focused. And I'm just going to talk about the 2-in-1 because they kind of have this similar sort of vibe where they're both shielding focused. Get up your big shields and then go ahead and revenge when they attack, and that's pretty much the gist. Now, Magna can definitely do stack it really quick on her revenge, because every time she got the card upgrade where every time you get a shield, she gets a stack of counterattack, which is absolutely fantastic. And then she's also got ways to make her counterattacks AoE, which means you can deal with those types of situations. Whereas Maribel kind of has her one nuke card based on the size of your shield. So if you play, that's why I was playing double shielders. I was like, okay, let's stack a ton of shields and see how much damage we can get out. It's a bit of a cheesy way to play it. But like I said earlier, Sarah was doing Magna with Nia and Tressa to high levels of chaos, which is crazy. So, these guys I think will become more important in the future as we get shielders, as we get more supportives. But the problem with shielding is if you're bringing shielding, you kind of need a source of healing as well through your runs. Not so much in, once again, Dimensional Twilight where we're looking at, but I'm just talking in general. So I do think we will see the shielders start to get more value. Maybe once we get to level 60 on characters, they see less value again, and then it's Khaleep's the only one you use, but we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Now, Luke is another one I'm not too sure on. I really love the guy. I love his aesthetic. I love the general play style of his kit. I like the bullet characters. I think the bullet characters are just really fun and cool. Now, I don't know too much about him, so I'm not going to dive too deep into him, but in general, I know a lot of people trying to make him work, and some people thinking he's actually really solid, and that's about all I've got, because once again, I haven't really watched anyone play him too much, and I haven't tested him myself, so I don't want to dive into him too much. But as I mentioned, he does do some discarding. The combo with Nia using this new piece of equipment that doesn't unlock till you do a ton of blue pot runs could be kind of broken when you get infinite stacking on damage. So if he gets that, GG's. Then we have Lucas and Owen. As I mentioned, I'm Sue, who was on the podcast the other day. I don't know if he's got a spotlight video out on it. I'm sure he would. You can go check his channel about Owen. Kind of like a hybrid damage shielder buffing type unit, supportive type unit. He can get allies to have extra hits on their attacks. So if you've got a massive nuker with one big hit, kind of like maybe anchor shot, and then he can go ahead and follow through with it and give them an extra attack on it, like kind of crazy stuff. But you can definitely go check that out. I'm not going to spend too much time. Lucas, I looked at his kit once in beta. I haven't really looked at this guy again. I'm really not too interested in it. I don't his brother has the wicked design. Luke is one of the coolest designed characters in the game, in my opinion. And Lucas is just a spud, in my opinion. So sorry if you really like the design of Lucas. I don't. Orlea, like I said, haven't played her too much either. She's, she's long battle oriented. So I'm wondering if there's going to be a game mode in the future that really promotes her playstyle, where it's more about, how many waves of enemies can you get through and stacking on. I don't know, but I just think she's a bit clunky in her playstyle at the moment. Once again, I haven't done a ton of testing myself. And then we have Amir, who my head's been covering this whole time, who is just basically a downgrade on shielding from the others. She does have the celestial tags or the heaven tags as well. So I do think someone will find a way to play Amir, but I don't think many people are fussed on testing her at the moment. So once again, I'm not saying these guys are trash. I just haven't tested them, and they're just waiting for someone to show them some love to get their time in the spotlight. But that is going to be it for the roundup of the tier list. Let me know what you guys think. And once again, it's not so much about, this is the best character in the game. It's just about, getting an idea. If you're new and you've got these characters, maybe you want to go ahead and take a look. But I think this game is always going to have a pretty tight tier list with not 5-10 tiers, because dude, it's just so I don't want to say, I don't know whether the word is balanced, but it's so unique in the way that everything's going to be different for everyone and every character has potential to go nuts. So that is going to be for this one. Jeez, I yapped for about half an hour there. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.